I'm Pastor Stuart, and in this video I will be reviewing one of my favourite New King James Version Bibles, and this is the Cambridge Clarion. That's what I'll be reviewing in both the Goatskin binding and also in the Calfsplit leather binding. So in this review I will be looking at this Bible's readability, its build quality, its features, and also its portability. And the Cambridge Clarion is a wonderful hand-sized, personal-sized Bible. And what I really like about personal-sized Bibles is that you can comfortably hold them in your hands, open, and read them for long periods of time without needing a desk. So let's start with the readability of this Bible. It features a font size of 8.75, which may sound quite small, but as you can see, there is generous space between each line. Also, you will notice that each line, for example, line number 3, it corresponds to the exact same place as line number 3 over the page. That's called line matching, and it helps to reduce the effects of show-through from the other page so that you are not distracted by this ghosting that you can see there, for example, beneath this line. Because the lines are matched, it's not so much of an issue when reading the actual text. Now, both the line spacing and the line matching make this Bible actually quite readable, especially if you read this in good lighting. You will notice that it is paragraph format, so that each verse does not begin on a new line. And whilst having a Bible in verse-by-verse format is very convenient and quick for looking up verses, paragraph format such as this does help you to see verses in their context. Now, this Bible is not a red letter edition, so the words of Jesus are in black. I don't mind that at all. The other day I had a bad headache, and I was reading a Bible where the words of Jesus were in red, and I tell you, when you have a headache and you are reading a red letter Bible, it's not particularly pleasant. And so actually, I guess I prefer a Bible to have black letter for the words of Jesus. So overall, I would give the readability of this Bible a score of 4 out of 5. It is a lovely Bible, and as you can see, it is single column, so you don't get 2 separate columns. It's a single column Bible. So let's move on now to talk about the features of this Bible. Before I do so, I will just quickly make mention that, of course, in prose, the text fills the column, but with poetry, I'll just quickly open to the book of Psalms. As you can see, text is, it does not fill the column. And that is how poetry is arranged in, I think, most modern translations. Now let's move on to the features of this Bible. It is a reference Bible, and the cross-references are found in the side column, the outer margin. I don't know how many cross-references there are in this Bible, but it's a good number. I would imagine it's at least 60,000. Also, this Bible has the full set of the New King James Version translator's notes. Now, for those of you who are not familiar with what that is, basically the New King James Version has little footnotes, or in this case marginal notes, that give information about textual variations, that also give alternative translations and literal translations, and also some explanatory notes as well. Unfortunately, not all New King James versions have the full set of translators' notes, but this Bible does. So, for example, we're in Acts 27, and if we look at verse 9, it reads, "Now when much time had been spent, and sailing was now dangerous, because the fast was already over." And you'll notice that there is the number 1 there, just before the fast. And when we look to the side, we see a note here that says the Day of Atonement, late September or early October. In other words, the fast there is a reference to the Day of Atonement. It's a little explanatory note. Now, in some editions of the New King James Version, whilst they will have various of these translators' notes, they won't necessarily include all of them. And so, for example, here's another Bible. This is by Thomas Nelson. It's their personal size giant print. And when we look at the section for the references or notes for chapter 27, verse 9, you'll notice it has some references, but that translator's note is missing. And that's because this Bible uses an abridged version of the translator's notes. But I'm glad to tell you that the Cambridge Clarion has the full set of translator's notes. What I also really appreciate about the Cambridge Clarion is that the cross-references and the translator's notes are near to the verse to which they pertain. So when reading verse 9, notice how that note is right next to verse 9. And for that reason, I consider the Cambridge Clarion to have the most convenient layout in any New King James Version Bible. Because when you are looking at a marginal note, you just simply need to glance across and there it is. Whereas, for example, in the other Bible I was just showing you, the notes are mixed in with the cross-references here, and it's at the bottom of the page, and so you have to search for it and find your note. It's a lot more convenient with the Cambridge Clarion. Now then, let's look at some other features of this Bible. It has a concordance at the back. It has 2 red ribbons. This is one of them. It has 2 of them. It has a concordance here at the back. I don't use these concordances much that appear at the back of Bibles, but it's there. It won't be comprehensive, but it will have some entries. So, for example, for the word fail, you have 4 entries there. And of course, this Bible has maps at the back as well. You can see a list of the maps. They are very nice maps, 15 of them. If you want to pause the video here, you can, so that you can see this list of maps. But what I really like, before we see the maps themselves, is that this has a map index. So, for example, if you are reading and you see Assyria mentioned, and you want to have an understanding of where Assyria is, we can see here that map 1, and in cell D2, you will find Assyria. So, for example, if we go to map 1, and as you can see, there are quite a number of places mentioned in the index. If we go to map 1, and then look at D2, we can see Assyria there. So there are a good number of maps, and I would say that they are good quality maps as well. So those are the features of this Bible, and all of these features are present in both the Goatskin edition, which is the one we are looking at the moment, as well as the Calfsplit leather edition, which I'll show you in just a moment. So now let's move on to consider the build quality of this Bible. Let's start with the goatskin leather. This is an incredibly luxurious Bible. It's possibly, as far as luxury is concerned, it's possibly the nicest New King James Version that I have. The goatskin leather is nice and soft. It's just wonderful to hold this in your hand. It's edge-lined, so that refers to the way that the cover is attached to the text block, and so you don't have a paste-down liner, which means that the cover is nice and floppy. Nice and soft. You'll also notice that it has art gilding. It has a nice salmon colour when open, and when closed, it's got that gold. So this is amazing. As I am showing this to you, I noticed that I didn't score the features of this Bible. I will happily give it 5 out of 5 for the features, and I can only give 5 out of 5 also for the build quality. This is an excellent Bible. It lays very flat, and I'm here talking about the goatskin edition. It will stay open from Genesis chapter 1. It won't be flat at Genesis chapter 1, but it will stay open, which I'll show you now. So that will stay open. And as you can see, it lays very flat on a table. Now let me move on to the Calfsplit leather edition, because there is a difference here. You'll notice that I have the Calfsplit leather edition open at Acts 27, and whilst it does stay open, you will notice that this is slightly raised, so it's not laying flat on the table, whereas the goatskin edition will be flat even at Acts 27, as you can see. Which of these do I prefer? They are very different. Let me mention that the cover of the Calfsplit is not as soft as the goatskin. It's not soft at all. It's a lot more firm. Also, this is not edge-lined. There is the paste-down liner, but this is still absolutely lovely, the Calfsplit leather. Both of these are premium Bibles. The goatskin is a lot more expensive. I think about £80 or so more expensive than the Calfsplit leather version. But I think they both have their advantages. As I mentioned, this goatskin version lays flat on a table, but when it comes to holding in the hand, whilst this is much softer and feels nicer in the hand than the Calfsplit version, because of the stiffness of the cover, when you have it open in your hand, I want you to notice that the page remains flat. Whereas with the goatskin leather, when it's open in your hand, it flops over, so it's curved. So for holding in the hand, I actually prefer the Calfsplit leather edition, because I like the page to be flat because it's easier to read. But for use on a table, then the goatskin is superior. But even so, both of these editions are absolutely lovely, and both score 5 out of 5 for the build quality. Finally, let's consider the portability of this Bible. I would score it 4 out of 5. It is very portable. It's not big at all. It's 7.5 inches across. 5.5 inches across, 7.5 inches tall. It's about 1 3/4 of an inch thick, so it is a thick Bible. And that can't be helped because of the single column layout. It will be thicker. But it's still, it's a hand-sized Bible. And I score the portability 4 out of 5. Overall, I can only give both these Bibles 5 out of 5. 5 out of 5 for this Bible. It's definitely one of my favourite editions of the New King James Version. Thank you very much for watching this review. Please do press the like button if you liked this review, and be sure to subscribe to this channel for more Bible reviews as well as sermons. Thank you for watching. God bless. A quick addition to this Bible review of the Cambridge Clarion, I also want to compare the Clarion to another similar Bible, and that is Thomas Nelson's compact single column reference Bible. As you can see, the layout is similar. It's single column and has references and notes on the side. Like the Clarion, this has the full set of translator's notes. It has a darker font than the Clarion. However, the Clarion, the font is a bit bigger. Now, the main difference for me, this font is smaller, but it is darker, so I guess, it will depend on your eyes which you prefer. This compact single column reference Bible from Thomas Nelson is also significantly cheaper than both these editions of the Clarion. But the main difference is in the side column. You'll recall that the Clarion was very convenient in that the lead chapter and verse for the cross-references and notes was right next to the verse to which it pertained, whereas in this Bible here by Thomas Nelson, the compact single column reference Bible, they have bottom justified the references and notes, and so it takes a bit longer to find the note and cross-reference that you are looking for. So that's just a very brief comparison, and of course this is not a premium Bible, but it's still nice if your eyes are happy to read this size font. It's just a bit smaller than the Cambridge Clarions. So thanks again for watching. God bless.